These ear things, oh god, they hurt so bad. But this is the phone that doesn't, that shocks me because the screen is cracked and it's cracked where the speaker is, so it's like, so I have to use this. But I have slightly more memory on this one than I do my other phone, a lot more. But this one shocks me, so I can't fuck with it that much unless it's, you know, kind of socially distanced. um, Nobody wanted to snuggle me, so I'm back. These ear things really fucking suck, man. God damn. I keep hoping that I'll like twist them a certain way and I'll be like, aha, that's how they're supposed to fit. No wonder. But no, they hurt me. Okay. Okay. It's time for me to just, okay. I'm gonna tell you about the time my grandmother decided she's gonna buy me a house. Okay? There are, just like everything, there are a million reasons why this is hard for me to talk about. But I think the biggest one is because I'm just such a different person from when she initially bought me that house. It's hard to convey the gratitude that I absolutely did feel because, yeah, I earned that motherfucker. It wasn't just given to me. And that right there is the fastest way to like send her into a, you know. But yeah, I went through hell for that goddamn house. Okay. It's always a struggle. Like, what order do I can't come up with a fucking salient order, so I'm gonna stop trying and I'm just gonna, when I feel up to it, I'm gonna share things. And hopefully, when it's all said and done, I will have purged enough to be somewhat functional. Okay. So, okay. I guess it was 2011. I had my 10-year high school reunion, and I had a really good time. And I told everybody that would listen how I hung out with somebody I didn't ever talk to in high school, and I had met my future husband. Keith Schrader. Nice guy. And I came back to Houston. I mean, I told everybody who would listen. And I just had a really good time with him. And he's a total gentleman because Chelsea and I invited that guy to go skinny dipping with us. And he knew we had been drinking, so he said no. And he's a great guy. Anyway, maybe I shouldn't have said that. Oh well. So I come back to Houston, and it definitely affected, because, you know, Corey was already in my life. We weren't exclusive, obviously. And I think I got meaner to him. I was definitely more difficult. And I mean, when I say everyone, I even told him, okay, I met my future husband, so you better watch out. And anyway, my grandmother, when I told my grandmother, it's like she's the only one that believed me in a way, because she became very somber, very earnest. She looked at me, she clutched my hands. Amber, promise me you won't move away from Houston until I die. Now, we were close at the time, my aunt, she's pissed at my aunt, she's pissed at my mom, so we were very close. And I hated when she talked about when she died, because she did that a lot. She would talk about things like will things, and I just hated it. It's funny now, but whatever. I hated it. I'm like, don't jinx yourself. I knew I wasn't really going to. I knew I hadn't really met my future husband. That wasn't realistic. So I agreed. I promised. But I tell you, I really think that right there set this whole thing in motion. Because even when when it would come up, even now, look at me, I'm like smiling. He was just such a good person, you know? He was a really good person. And I think that scared her. And it definitely put a little pep in my ex's step, because he straightened his ass up. And we would end up, I think, within 6 months agreeing to be exclusive after having this big, huge thing. And then, so we got our first place together, even though he was always at my place. We got our first place together. And then that following year, my grandmother was like, I don't want to have to worry about you when I die, so I'm going to buy you a house. And I'm like, whoa. I remember. I don't remember how it feels, but I remember having the feelings of like, holy shit, wow, you know? And my boyfriend at the time was like, I mean, it was just crazy, right? We were just like, it was crazy. And in fact, he picked out the house for the most part. I loved it too, but my grandmother definitely wanted to give me roots in Houston, you know, and I believed at the time that she didn't want to have to. Why wouldn't I believe that? You know, she didn't want to have to worry. Blah 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 blah. So. And she's like, I don't think we should tell anybody. I don't think your mother needs to know. And I was totally on board with that. And I'll tell you why. As it stood, I was so fucking tired of my dad and even my brother. Anytime anything good happened to me, they associated it with my rich grandmother. Like my rich grandmother was taking care of me. And that was not the case. This would be the only time in my life that my life was like the way people assume it is when they find out I have a rich, very wealthy family member, okay? Like, she's like, I want to buy you a house, and I'm like, holy motherfucking shit. Wow, you know? So when she said, I don't think we should tell anybody, I was like, yeah, I second that. Because that was a really sore spot for me. Like, I'm not exaggerating. I couldn't do anything without it just being assumed, oh, Nana helped her, or Nana, like, it was bullshit, right? And shame on my dad, and shame on my brother, and shame on them for just it sucked, right? So I was totally on board with not telling anybody. And my mom and I didn't talk anyway. Mom had already dropped off the planet as far as being in our lives, so that was not a huge concern. But right away, she was looking in an area of town that I would never have been able to afford in a million years, right? So that's another reason. She had bought my mom a house years and years prior, and I could already tell right away mine was going to be nicer. I would just like to point out, though, that I take care of my shit, okay? And that's the difference right there. My mother, I do love my mom, okay? My mom doesn't take care of her shit. I'm not saying that to be mean. I'm just saying, right? But the thing is, and I also picked up on this early on, my boyfriend at the time had a really, really, really good job, okay? And right away, it was like I could tell that she was trying to impress him. She liked him because he had a good job. I hate to say it like that, but he had a good job and she liked that. And it made her different toward me a little bit, right? It made her a little bit more respectful to me, honestly. So, you know, we go out to dinner and she officially like meets my boyfriend and she really liked him, and he knew how to talk to people. You could take him places. He had his shit together, you know? And she didn't fuck around. Like, she said, I want to get you a house. And within 6 months, we were, closing on a house, I feel like. I feel like that's how it went, right? Because by April of 2013, I was a homeowner. But yeah, my ex, for the most part, picked it out. I really, she found it, and it was just so cool, right? But there were a lot of problems with it. And that, first of all, the area, I wouldn't, and the problems with the house, no, it was just a very ambitious endeavor, right? But she was like, don't even worry. I've got plans, she said. And this is the point in my life when I heard her say this the most to people, in reference of, and to people, she would say, money is no option. Wow. Wow. So I didn't, when it needed a lot of work, but she also had a lot of cosmetic plans. Like, my biggest thing, honestly, I wanted a bathtub. I wanted a beautiful claw bathtub, and it didn't have one of those, but it had a bathtub. But she bought these really beautiful things, fixtures, or she bought a whole bunch of shit to like make over the guest bathroom, because the master bathroom was a stand-up shower. It doesn't matter. Anyway, we had plans, and I was going to have this bathtub, but it needed a lot of work. So, like, right away when we moved in, she got these new windows. She replaced the windows, right? And that was cool. Meanwhile, I had convinced her to join OkCupid because she was lonely. And she met a fellow, and he was a nice guy, and she she would later tell me that he was the closest thing she had to a soulmate, right? He would go places with her, and he was, I always think everybody's gay. I thought he was gay. But it worked, because, he liked to look at swatches of fabric and color schemes for plans that she had for whatever. She's always like planning, redecorating with, oh God, that's where I get it. I have so much more in common with my grandmother than I think either of us want to admit or realize. Anyway, there were a lot of problems with my house, okay? But regardless, we were so excited, we were so giddy. And right away, I was like, yeah, I told my ex, like, let's not tell people that this is happening, because, come on, like, and he was kind of, oh, I already did. I was sorry. I was so excited. I already did. And I was like, okay, well, don't tell anybody else, because when you're struggling, it's just hard to hear that, right? You're struggling, and then you find this spoiled bitch ass motherfucker has some crazy generous thing happen. Like, it's just poor form. It really is. But he was excited, and the way he showed it was to tell all his friends, and that's that. So, like I said, she replaced the windows right away. And I would say that was the only thing that was pretty much done without issue. Like, yes, we talked to a lot of different people, and there were some indicators. I should have known, okay? There was a lot of arguing and finagling on price and stuff, and this was where it was really, we didn't have a lot of say-so, because she was paying for it, right? So we just kind of had to sit there, mostly me. I just kind of had to sit there and not look embarrassed, and I still worked full-time at the time. I was still at Barnes & Noble full-time, and I had my side gigs and everything, but I was still full-time at Barnes & Noble. And it was sometime in 2015. I was trying to rescue a baby squirrel and I fell down and hit my tailbone on a slab of brick, and I fucked up my tailbone and I missed a lot of work. And at that point, my ex-boyfriend was like, "You're not loving work." I hate saying that because I just loved so much. At one point, I loved my job and I so much loved the people I worked with. I loved my boss. I felt very lucky in that respect. I wouldn't have been there if I didn't feel that way. But it was true. I was starting to get kind of, it was starting to get kind of to be a lot. On my days off, being available to do things for the house, right? And keep in mind that I'm trying to show my gratitude. So anytime my grandmother needs something, I want to be available, right? And I don't want to miss any opportunities in getting things for the house done, because right away it was kind of like, oh yeah, so this is, she had something on us, you know. Somebody does this incredibly generous thing for you. What are you going to do? You're going to motherfucking be available when she needs you. But if you work full time, and it was just, I did feel kind of stretched many places, right? So my boyfriend at the time comes up to me and he's just like, you know, this would be a good time for, it was so cool. It was so cool. Because he didn't know shit about what I like to do, but he knew I liked to do it. And he was always a good sport. And he would say, oh, that looks really cool. And it would be like, this is my prototype. I didn't even choose the colors. Like, I don't know, you know, you could just tell that he was just trying to be supportive. And that was very sweet, like with my jewelry, if I didn't say that. So he's like, you know, why don't you use this time to focus on just your jewelry, not teaching or not Barnes and Noble, just your online stuff. And I was like, yeah, okay, you know, cool. And I would be able to be more available because, okay. So around this time, we were trying to get, I think this is, no, I was still full time. So, okay, whenever the fuck it happened, whenever it was time to get a new roof, that was, okay, we had to get a new roof. And this would be why all of my neighbors hated me and why it was really hard for me to show my face, okay? My grandmother majorly started shit and argued with the homeowners association. And yes, we got a new roof. And that's awesome. They promptly changed their laws after we got the last free roof, so to speak. And yes, that's great and everything, but man, she spoke for me, right? Obviously, I didn't have a choice in the matter. She sent them things under my name. So as far as they were concerned, the association, I was a giant bitch. She sent them a letter of demand that her and her relative, her assistant was her cousin, and they signed it under my name, and it was just really aggressive, and it's just not my style. And yes, I understand that, you know, it got done. I got a new roof, but at what cost? My neighbors fucking hated me. There's just, yes, it was effective. It got it done, right? But there's a certain way you can't talk to people, man. I'm sorry, you can't. But she did, and she's used to getting her way, and if she doesn't, you know, when I would go out to eat with her, I did a lot of hiding money under my plate. We'll just put it that way, okay? I was super grateful, but I was also I was a different kind of person than her. I knew what it was like to struggle. It was fresh on my mind, okay? I know what it's like to work a real job, and I'm one of those people, in my opinion. A real job is one usually of retail or food industry. You fucking hate it, but you have to put up with so much spoiled, pampered bullshit because you have to. You don't have a choice. You'll lose your fucking job. To me, that is a real job. I understand for some people a real job is when you're only wearing, your grown-up clothes and I get that, but just no, not, I see it differently. From my perspective, it's always been different, okay? But anyway, my ex was like, I think it'd be easier if you just, stopped working at Barnes& and Noble and just, yeah, I would be more available to my grandmother's needs and, yeah, right? But, so, it's kind of like, I don't know how it, right away, it was like, okay, this does change the dynamic, right? We're in her debt, right? We're indebted to her. So she needs something, right? But it was really, really embarrassing the way she would talk to people. And then I can't tell you how many people would come over and give us quotes, and then I'd never hear from them again. They would talk to her and she would piss them off, or she would agree to a certain price on whatever work we were working on, and they would come over and she would have changed her mind and she wanted them to add something else without increasing the cost. And so they're like, fuck this, and they would leave. I just can't tell you how many times that happened. And, my ex-boyfriend was kind of like, okay, so at the same time, okay, within months of us moving in, and I'm gonna have to further 20 minutes. I haven't said shit. Fuck it.